Hello, my name is Mandozer. Today I'll be talking to personality for Zeroniss. He's a member of Shiva Corporation and 401k
Hey, how's
Alliance
it going?
Retirement Club. It's doing good. Um, I guess the first question I want to ask you is what got you into this game? What got you into Eve Online?
You know what? I was one of the dudes that used to play fucking the other MMOs out there. I think World of Warcraft back until about 2009 while I was at university. Just didn't have time for it after I graduated, and I was looking for something with more PvP in it. And I heard about Eve from a friend of mine that plays, and he's like, "Oh, it's just brutal," And I tried the trial out, and it was pretty brutal, but I kind of kept at it. I ended up joining Eve University just to learn the game better, and because it seemed like the best place to kind of meet other newbies, and it kind of just took off from there. I originally tried the game back in 2006. I don't even know what the fuck my character's name is anymore, but that's where really it just didn't take off for me back in '06.
How was Eve Uni, by the way, in regards to teaching people back then? Like you said, around 2006. I think I started 2007 first time, 2008. I actually started
Oh,
playing.
in '06, I was just a fucking miner in a noob ship when I tried it. I tried it for like 3 days or something like that, and some douchebag popped me. I don't even remember the story of how it went down. I was just like, fuck this game. But in 2010, when I started Zeroniss and came back to trying it properly, that's when I joined the uni. 2010, Eve Uni was okay. I mean, as an entity, it's got a strong underlying principle towards helping newbies, but it's got a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah, I heard that about Eve Uni. You basically have to wait till you get like I don't know, like you the stuff like a dude learns in nullsec ASAP. Eve Uni like pieces out, and that's what I heard. I don't know. I've never been in there. Considered joining
Yeah.
once or twice to build some history on a new character, but I never got around to waiting for him to finally get to me. I'm too impatient for
Yeah,
that.
well, that's just it. It's a great tool for cycling alts. If you want your alt to have what looks like a newbie history, if you know what you're doing with the spy character, then it's not very difficult to do that either. But they did have good PvP focus when I joined, but I think it's a cyclic thing. They seem to have a lot of interest in wormholes for a few months, and then more people are interested in nullsec, and then a couple of months for low sec interested people, and then the rest of the time it's just fucking high sec.
What was your goal when you start like when you started really getting into Eve? Like, what was your goal? Like, what were you trying to get at? Like,
So, do you remember, like, they used to have these ISD guys who would convo new players when they started, and they'd hit you up and they'd be like, "Hey, how are you finding the game? What do you think so far? What do you want to be doing?" And they had that image they'd link with the like 100 fucking professions you could have in Eve. Do you remember that image?
I don't think I ever had that. Like, I do remember when I first made a character, it was like 40k SP, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I think
Yeah. Well,
that
some
was it
motherfucker
was
in
pretty
green
bad.
text convoed me back in 2000, like late 2010, and he was like, "Oh yeah, do you know what you want to do with Eve?" And I was like, "Well, being a fucking drug lord sounds cool. I should figure out how to make drugs." And I was like, "Could you tell me how to do them?" And it occurred to me later that the dude didn't know how to do it himself because he just gave me this really wishy-washy answer on finding my answer somewhere in the stars.
Wow. So tell me
But yeah,
about yeah. Go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, I got involved in nullsec mostly through a few friends. Some of my buddies were already in Shiva. Some people I'd gotten to know over time. Um, when I got involved in nullsec, I think Shiva was probably at one of its lowest points in its history since Mortis Mihi had been pretty much evicted from the north, moved down to Delve. It was a long process of turning what had very properly established itself as a SOV-based corporation into something a lot more dynamic.
It's quite different when you're basing out of null sec like NPC null or low sec or anything like that. You gotta. It's kind of hard to make money unless you can run missions or whatever fuck the resources are out there. Plex, whatever.
Yeah, well, it's it's really knowing that your space doesn't have to be your own to be put to good use.
When did I interview you for UQ9? I'm looking at your post now. I'm like, what? I interviewed you for UQ9?
No, we had some good banter there about fucking Jessica Nigri and her tits.
Oh, lol. Dude, I'm like, yo, who's this chick looking like her? Dude, cosplay chicks own. Like, I need to hit up an anime con just to hit on some. Like, that's the only
I
reason
think
I would
she's an
go.
exception. She's like she was the some kind of cover girl for a couple of video game companies as well. She does events to promote different games wherever they need like a half clad chick.
Yeah. Have you heard of some chick that I think her deal on Facebook is Precious Cosplay or whatever? She did like this is the chick that did the cosplay like promotion for this game called Firefall. She's all up in a suit and stuff like that. Like, let me find out. Sorry to get sidetracked in the
Hmm.
interview, but hey, this is kind of important.
We'll look this shit up, you know. Leave no
While I
stone
look that shit
unturned.
up, tell me about Shiva. Like, tell me like the history of the corp. How was it for you? Stuff like that. What do y'all do? Like everything. Just tell me everything.
Pretty much the Corp has been the baby of Zidane since back in the day. We had a few other guys, Koth, Idol, who helped run things as well. But for the most part, Zidane stayed CEO since the very beginning. Zidane is still around. He's the overarching father that works very hard to put food on the table that us children spoil. um, Day to day, we kind of are managed through the other directors, and just uh, most of our focus goes into really just promoting a very healthy environment within the corporation. We've heavily turned it into a community type thing as opposed to just a corporation. We rarely get guys who leave. It kind of becomes a home for the gamer rather than just the game. So we play a ton of other things together. We're on our Daisy team speak right now. We've got a bunch of other things as well that we do on our spare time.
That's cool. The guys you mentioned in the beginning, I'm not familiar with their names. Can you tell like everyone about them a little bit so we can kind of relate to it? Like
So most of
I
them
feel
were
like we need an intro.
yeah, most of them were before my time. Idol was very heavily involved with more Smehe. I think he was one of the like co-coordinator of the alliance at some point, back in like 2008, 2009 or something like that before Voklau. Koth was one of the people that worked with Zidane quite intimately to get Shiva going. Shiva was put together from a couple of other corps in Fountain Alliance, I believe. It was kind of a very young child that joined a very young Morsis Me back at the very early days. It was one of the few corps that was brought in after the founding had actually happened. So it was a little bit of a late joiner. It was always designed as a corporation to help bring about the end of Band of Brothers, which is kind of hilarious because now we are very close friends with Evolution and Ryoku.
I forgot whatever happened with Raikoku, Ryoko, whatever. I don't know if you noticed. I was an evolution courtesy of Securitas on an alt. The art was Cyrus Ildamar for like maybe 2 weeks because originally Concordia merged into Evolution, and then I guess Securitas decided he didn't like putting up passes, so that worked out well.
Yeah, well, Evolution's approach is very much everyone does the grunt work at some point or the other. You've always got to be, able to step up and do what the corp needs you to do. It Some people find it a little bit tough, like when they've got a biatch period where you're expected to be completely self-sufficient for all of your ships and needs while still contributing fully to the corporation and the alliance. And basically once that period's over, though, you're set in gold because Evol looks after its members. It's like a proper fully socialist corp, so they give away every ship, all everything's kept stocked for them,
Oh
and
yeah,
ships are handed out when needed.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, I found this real funny on the IRC. Some guy joined and This is the point where I'm like, yo, I can't be an evolution. This is too funny. Some guy basically, I guess he really liked Sir Mole because the first thing he says like, yo, thanks for letting me an evolution. Like Sir Mole, you're my idol. And I'm like, wow, I'm gonna bail out now. Just fuck this. What the fuck is this? We all sucking off Sir Mole. I don't know the guy. I just know he was banging Slinkstress, and Slinkstress is kind of cute. So good on the guy. I
Yeah,
saw the picture. I saw the picture from the wedding. Like, and of course we saw the Bob barbecue pictures from way back when.
oh
Dude
yeah.
has the what's that shit like? Make a mold of your schlong and shit. Like what do you call that? Clone a Willy? Like he had that shit. I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, the first time I met
But
Mole on TeamSpeak, I've never met him in real life, but first time we spoke on TeamSpeak, it was kind of like a larger than life personality type thing. But he's really down to earth, you know. At the end of the day, the propaganda about him isn't true. Mole made a very good bad guy during the time
oh
of
god,
Band
he
of
was
Brothers.
literally Hitler way back
Yeah,
then.
he made a very good bad guy because it was the role that Eve really needed him to play. You know, there needed to be that one guy. But he's really chill. He's probably one of my closest advisors. I'm a fucking scrub, a 2010 guy running a alliance full of 2006 players. So you can
Honestly,
imagine.
I only really started playing Eve in 2010 because 2008 2009 I had a shitty comp. I couldn't do nothing. Especially with the way lag it was in fleet fights way back then and low SP. It's like, oh my god, if you didn't load grid, you didn't load grid. Goodbye. Like I was around for the time that Doomsdays were like 250 clicks around, like just smart, like Suicide Bomber. What's up? Boom. Except you didn't suicide because you had a fucking Titan. Like I was around for that, but I never actually got to enjoy that experience, which I guess I can regret. But it sounded so gay. I was like, I'm gonna go play other video games. I'm out. All right, let me get back to the interviews. Getting sidetracked. Sorry about that. But it was
It's
good to
alright.
catch up on that.
History is
So
always bittersweet, you know.
yeah. Um, how did you get in contact with Shiva? First of all, like, did you know him outside of Eve? Do you had people like, how'd you connect with them?
So, while I was with Eve Uni, I ended up getting a little bit more involved with like the recruitment team in Eve Uni, and then I was the media manager for Eve University, helping maintain their blog and a bunch of their guest interviews and guest classes, and doing the PR work for that. And I got in touch with a bunch of the Shiva guys, and they always seemed very receptive. One of the directors I was closest to back during my time at Eve University really recommended Shiva as a good place to try after I felt I was ready to move on. So they pretty much were the first corporation I hit up um, after I just decided I was leaving the uni.
That's good. That's good. Um, I'm guessing you're really enjoying Shiva. At what point did you just feel like, yo, I'm click? This is my group. I click with them. This is it. About what point did you feel like you belonged?
It takes time with that kind of thing. I mean, when I joined, I was an absolute scrub. I was what, maybe 15, 16 million SP. The only thing I really flew well for every single fleet was, an interceptor. I could man a T2 fitted Abaddon, but with T1 turrets and shit like that. And more system he has in Alliance had a lot of doctrines, and it took time to cross train to everything. Like the first thing I did was branch away from Amar and get into Minmatar. Um, really being able to fly a lot more ships helped me fit in a lot more. But Shiva itself was always very welcoming from the very beginning. Um, you know, a lot of people took a lot of time to make sure that I fit in okay, and it's something that we kind of try our best to do with the younger members we get. Now we don't get very many young members. We have our posted requirement is always 20 million SP, but we do bend the rules quite frequently on that, so it does ward off a lot of very young members. But we do get the occasional young guy come in, and we try to try our best to make sure they fit in. I probably started fitting in properly in Shiva maybe 3 months around the time that we were leaving Morsis Mihi. So I'd say around early December-ish. Back in 2011, if my history is correct. And we were thinking of doing the move to the north, help out White Noise in the branch war. So that that was probably when I started fitting in most. I started FCing a lot more back then as well.
Pretty cool. Speaking of FC, why do you log in on a day-to-day basis in regards to like Eve, PvP, or whatever? But
Mostly to be honest, I've worked hard to make sure that the alliance is fairly self-sufficient and properly delegated for a lot of tasks. I hate bureaucracy, and I try to minimize it as much as possible because I do enjoy playing Eve. I still enjoy, undocking in terrible ships. Mostly when I play, it's just to get on fleets. So we do regularly posted ops. We're very active at the current time. I mean, we're pushing probably upwards of 50-ish fleets a week right now. So we get a lot of regular activity. So there's always something going on, someone to hang out with.
that's cool. In the long term, like I'm guessing it'll be similar. Like in regards to you worked on Shiva quite a bit. You know what I mean? And it looks like it's doing pretty good. But long term, what's your plan? What's keeping you going?
To be honest, you need to. Eve is one of those games where if you don't set yourself some kind of target, you burn out very quickly, whether you want to or not. It's one of those things where you need to really be self-starting with your goals and your ambitions. When we put together for 1K, the overarching principle behind it was that we've done everything in the game collectively as an alliance. We've touched pretty much every single thing there is to touch in EVE Online. So let's focus on having fun and not getting too bogged down with the politics of it, with the solve, with the massive territories and scales and stuff like that. Let's focus on being good at the game and having fun because we enjoy being good at the game, and that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been trying hard to to shape up, get better at flying the ships we fly, train up our FCs, and just in general, on a day-to-day basis, push towards having fun. You can never plan too far ahead. You can have plans, but to be quite honest, they don't work out. And there's always something that will change the immediate perception at any given time. So being receptive to change while still maintaining some kind of overarching goal is always good. Yeah,
What
pretty
happened?
much.
What happened with do you know a Goon FC by the name of Physic? I'm talking about a loss of a couple of mutants that you guys lost to Drakes, like, and apparently, like, it got broadcast. That's the only reason I remember. It got broadcast by the Batani to GSF. But
Yeah,
speaking of
apparently
like,
you inflicted great loss upon the Bob War machine or something like that.
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure like what went on with that. Like example one, but it's not the only thing I'm gonna talk about. I really know about the SM like 401k fucking with SMA and FCon. That's what I want to know about. But I guess that's a good place to start, Danny.
So let's start with SMA. The first time Shiva fucked with SMA was back in late March, I believe, when the Raiden campaign versus CFC was going on. Raiden, however you want to pronounce it. And what basically happened was Raiden were on the back foot. The Tenal campaign was just starting, and they were kind of trying their best to hold their own, but it wasn't really working out. Shiva decided to try a different approach. We were with Initiative Mercenaries at the time. Sister Bliss was kind of in his own boat on how he wanted to run things with the North, and I think at the time he was still very much firmly entrenched within the mercenary mindset to only do what he'd been paid for, not a penny more. But Shiva kind of branched off towards the end of the campaign when it was a bit quiet, and we set up a complete Black Ops canvas of the single constellation that SMA was granted at the time. We basically blopsed in and then set up towers in their space and dropped supers behind lines, smashed a bunch of their towers, reinforced a bunch of things, and then hilariously, they put up Sino jammers, so we had supers behind their lines. it was basically like, okay, you put up jammers, you're not going to be able to get supers in very easily without us realizing. You're not going to be able to get dreads in very easily without us realizing. We have free reign in your entire constellation to do whatever the fuck we want. We parked 2 Titans there, set up clone services, moved up a shit ton of subcaps, and just basically lived out of SMA space.
How's that working out now, though?
Well, back in March, it was quite successful. We forced SMA to move out for the time being, so they stopped taking losses. It didn't work so much from a campaign perspective because the push, the window we wanted to create, never really opened. Vince and I can't remember what his name was. The dude that's in jail now. What's his name?
Is he
From
seriously
NC
in
Dot.
jail? So he's in jail.
Soho, that's it. That's it. Soho Torres, right? Yeah.
When's he
See,
getting
I knew
out? When's
just.
he getting out?
No, I don't know. I just knew that that'd be an easy way to find his name because that's what he's known by, right? So Soho hit us up and he wanted to do a bit more with that constellation, and he started a bit of a push, but it didn't really take. And then Tinel ended up falling, so we were kind of like, well, that's fine. We packed up ship as well. When we moved up back in. Sorry, some nerds pinging me on Jabber. Yeah, when we moved up back in what month was it? Probably early September. We were helping NC Dot in their fight against the CFC. We were fairly low on activity then. Even then, we were looking at branching off and doing our own thing. When NC Dot called it a day, after a very long and hard-fought campaign, we set up shop in Venal and started shopping around for targets. And SMA, to be honest, seemed like a very simple beginner target to start cutting our teeth on, to start getting our folks revved up for better action. And it kind of just snowballed into a proper fuck with them and destroy that alliance because, to be honest, they are pretty fucking terrible.
As like I think I stated that SMA is stoic shit, as they don't bitch to us about a lot apparently, but they're shit.
Well, I mean, now their leadership's disappeared. We're pissed at them because they never show up for fights anymore. They always used to be good for that, but even if they weren't very good at the fighting or the tactics or whatever, they still had heart and they'd show up and they'd give us a good brawl, and occasionally they'd win or they'd call Razor in and Razor would force us off the field or something like that. But as of late, they've just stopped doing that as well. They've stopped all resistance. They ignore timers for posted like for solve timers, which we started pushing to try and provoke a reaction. They bring in the whole CFC, which we can't really fight as a sized alliance that we are. So we're gonna probably mix things up a bit more. But really, they're a fucking pariah. They're leeching off of the rest of the coalition, doing fuck all.
Yeah, just reminded me about Li3 Federation. I dunked the fuck out of them on forums. I don't think I had a chance to post my dunking yet, but how do you feel about them joining the CFC from the HBC? I don't know if you pay attention to them. Like apparently hitting up Veil of Silent.
Yeah, well, we'll deliver some venal justice that way, right? But at the moment, we don't really know them that much. From what I've seen, they're kind of equivalent, if not even more terrible. But I don't want to pass judgment until I actually, get a chance to meet them.
I've heard some horrible shit from them from tests. When fucking Leechies, aka Checkbox Poll and Cuckoo for guys that are not aware. When Leechies is telling me that these guys suck, they suck. It's a pretty good barometer on shit. But
yeah.
Apparently the deal, by the way, with the SMA guys is the Street Brothers started a business or some shit, and they're really tied up with that. We're having issues getting in touch with them our damn selves. Apparently you hit a pause and they didn't fucking report to us because apparently they didn't know. How the fuck do you not know your shit's getting hit? I got a notification the other day, and I'm not even director. Just a notification in game. So and so's getting so and so soft structure and so systems got hit. No, everyone gets that shit. Everyone and their mother gets that shit. I don't even
know. I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, pause rights are something basic we give pretty much every member in Shiva. Everyone gets the notification. Everyone has gunning roles. For a while we joked that it was a recruitment requirement to have Starbase Defense Management trained.
Fucking nuts. What happened with that fight with Physic though? Like that Munin on Drake brawl where Munins got dunked, and I don't understand how that happened because like we were talking to S in our skirmish commanders, fleet commander conclave, and dudes were like, "What's the counter to Munins?" And someone said Drake's, and I was one of me and Mr. V like were like people like, "No, they're not. You're fucking dumb. No, they're not." Because Munins can alpha Logi and then alpha the Drakes in sufficient numbers. So I
Yeah,
was
well,
surprised when I saw Munins dead. I guess there were insufficient numbers, and apparently they flew him right into the fucking Drakes. I don't know. I'm
I
trying to
think
figure it out what
the
the
one
deal
you're
with that
talking
was.
about is the one on the jump in. They jumped in for some stupid ass reason. I think the FC was really itching for a fight, and he had some weird intel on it. So he jumped the gate and he landed right in at 0 on fucking webbing Drakes or whatever the fuck that was. I think ECM was still the flavor back then. So the Logis started getting hit pretty hard. The beauty with Munin Logis is like the Munin fleet, it's run with several different anchors, so every part of the fleet operates kind of individually. Um, and the Logi were just pummeled far too quickly, far too early
This
for the
isn't
firewall to be
sounding.
effective.
This isn't sounding about. No, I'm talking about the Munins were at range and then changed their align when the Drakes were burning towards them, and their line point was towards the Drake fleet. I'm basically talking about they lemoned into the fucking like they basically ran into the Drakes and said, "Come kill me." Like this is the one. Maybe we're talking about different fights.
Maybe if we're talking about different fights, then my guys were retards if they did that, and they should know better.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well.
you can't account for retard, right? So
Yeah, I can like whatever shit happens, but that was pretty funny when I heard about it.
yeah, no,
But
that'd be pretty
Mutant
terrible.
Alpha is beautiful thing. Like Jesus Christ, Mutant Alpha is
Oh
such
yeah,
a beautiful
absolutely.
thing.
It's beautiful. The only thing better is the Loki, to be honest.
Yeah, but the Loki's pretty expensive, and I don't know how like they're better Alpha, but there's a price tag on that, and it tends to bring a lot of
Well,
shit to kill you.
well, there's also the fact that I mean the flavor is the armor Loki. It's got what 30% higher alpha, a hefty fucking tank, and it's sig tanks. But it's got the same issue that you have with AHAX in that you commit. You know, with afterburners, you're kind of committing. They've got a better escape route in that every fucking Loki has webs, so you can blast off tackle really, really quickly. But it's still a significantly slower doctrine than the Munins, which are just pure balls to the wall skirmish.
Yeah, like I prefer skirmish fleets personally.
Yeah, it's to be quite honest, I think it's one of the most difficult fleet compositions that I've personally ever encountered. The Munins. There's a lot of active management you need to keep in mind. You have to count microwarp cycles, for example. You're only using your hardener overheated when you're actually primaried. So a lot of scrubs who will just keep the microwarp on the entire fight or keep the hardener on the whole fight will find that they're the first ones to die because they get left behind because they're not managing it properly. So it's got a lot more things to be aware of than just the anchor up and hit F1.
Lil Wayne banned from the NBA blames the haters. Thanks Facebook. It's fucking hilarious. Shit. Yeah, Munins. First of all, it's not even a sniper. It's not even a sniper. It's a mid-range alpha comp. Like you're operating
Absolutely.
between 40 to 50 clicks or whatever. I forget. I haven't looked at my fire line Munin fit in a while. I have to reconstruct it. It's been a while.
It's like 30 to max
Yeah,
60.
yeah. And you use warriors to and amazingly medium at artillery tracks pretty well. We got dumb like dude try to put T1 frigates on us and we just popped them left and right. This is the
720s are fucking broken, bro. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
They track ridiculously well. Unless you have active tracking disruption, those shits will track pretty much anything out there.
I need to bring a gate camp. Next time I'm bringing a gate camp and ship down, I'm bringing a Munin. Because this fucking T3 battle. Because half the time the shit comes into small shit, and I'm like, yo, I need webs so I can snipe it from 100 kilometers with my big ass tachyon laser. It's not working. This is fucking dumb.
Yeah. We're looking at other fleet comps as well, trying to diversify, but we're still a fairly young alliance, so
What fleet comps are you running, if I could ask? I mean,
yeah, we've got the standard AHAX, we've got the Munins, we've got our Lokis. No one fights our Lokis, it's fucking annoying. We've
I'll
got
fight your
our
Loki. Shit, as soon as I figure out something to fight it with.
You fucking outnumber us like 4-1.
Yeah, but 4-1 is like retards and frigates. Like
with
the fuck.
rifters. Fucking
Like
don't diss the rifter, bro.
the Rifter is I did a Thunderdome before the last TFI op they ran, and motherfucker like T1 frigates are hilarious. Can be hilarious against each other.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
First
100
time I killed
rifters will
someone with
fuck a
small,
Loki.
dude, small. I broke out in curses and I used railguns. First time I killed someone with railguns, small railguns, in my life. I dumpstered
Were
some
you
other.
an Enyo?
No, dude, I love the Enyo, but I use blasters on the Enyo. I never rail fit that shit.
I
400
used to know a
DPS
guy that
heated.
would he used to do rail Ishkur. That was his fit, rail Ishkur, and he was fucking solo PvP genius.
You mind? What's the most annoying part of the game for you, by the way?
Uh,
Besides dudes not fighting and sucking balls, that's pretty
where to
annoying.
start? I mean, to be
I mean,
honest, there's
don't give me 7 pages of shit. By the way, like I've seen
yeah,
a chick
no.
post. Go ahead, go ahead. But
I'll try and keep it condensed, right? So probably one of the most broken things is solve mechanics. It's far too receptive towards creating very large blocks. I like very large fights, I have great fun in tie-dye, but it would be nice to proliferate a lot more combat. Uh, it's a personal preference. I like the capping at 150ish to 200 on each side and not really going far above that. You'll still get decent tie-dye at that, but it won't debilitate you. But at the same time, the whole concept of coalitions, I feel, does make you a little bit weaker individually because you start developing too much of a reliance on your fellow alliances. Case in point, for example, I was reading the Lie 3 post that Jade Cougar made, and he was really promoting going on test ops and redeploying to KTAC 6 for his guys, and really punching the fact that, look, we're a PvP alliance. I want you guys to PvP. I want you guys present at ops. But really, from personal experience, what I've learned is if you want to develop a stronger PvP culture within your alliance, you have to do it grassroots. You have to start it at home. You've got to have your own FCs and your own ops and your own objectives. If you rely too heavily on a coalition, you find it starts killing your activity.
Roger, and I agree. I 100% agree on that because if you don't, FCs and scouts is the only scouts is what the other thing I'd throw in there. Because I know if dudes once they go roam and then they get bored of roaming because like we'll go for 2 hours we don't find shit. It's because these motherfuckers don't know how to descan a goddamn anom. And I swear to God, I've been
Yeah.
showing this to goons because I don't like the scout. Like I like to just kill. I got this nice Enyo with that is 400 DPS. I want to get kills. And then I'm
We
like, yo,
pay
can you
guys to
scout?
scout.
And I'll be like,
We've
yo,
got
can you... Oh my
Hey, go ahead.
God.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll wrap it up real quick, but like I'll tell goons like, yo, you know how to scout? Sure, cool. And then I'll send them in. And I'm like, yo, so what do you got? And I'm like, yo, I'm just going to random hubs. I'm like, let me link you this video by when I'm in space. And I swear to God, just that one video, the D-scan video, which I could link to you later, and I'll probably
Yeah,
post it in the
definitely.
interview. It blows. It's like it blows their fucking mind. It's like a blind man saw his first sunrise or some shit. It's like wow, just wow.
I've got a funny story about when I am in space. We were when Black Legion and us were still living together in Venal in not so harmonious ways. We were neutral to each other, and Pizza had just moved in. So this is like maybe a month ago, and we caught when I am in space at a gate camp. Right, he was in a dictor, and we bubbled up, and he got caught. And my dude, who was monitoring the gate, didn't get a decloak on him. So he's like, "Oh, I know he's right here. He's right there." And but we zoomed around for a bit and we couldn't catch him. And when I'm in space, was busy spurging in local. And after a while, I was like, "Nah, dude, you've beaten us. You got out of the gate camp. I'm gonna move us off." I moved us all to 200 kilometers off, and I was like, "You're free to go. You beat this gate camp, bro."
Why was he trolling you or Spurg? Like space isn't Spurg. He's not a Spurg lord.
Oh no, he was just trolling, like lightly trolling about how we were never gonna fucking catch him. And he was right. He was good. He did the right things he needed to do to get clear of
That
the
like
nerd that
yeah,
was trying to decloak him.
dude, he's like the best stiletto pilot I know. Him and Lucia Denny are like the two best.
Yeah, but yeah, so what you were saying about scouting, so good scouts are a rare commodity, and it's another one of those really thankless jobs, like logistics guys. We tried something slightly different with our scouts. We decided that we needed very accurate scans, and we need them all the time. So we paid our scouts on a pro rata basis on the number of systems they'd scan, complete moon scans, complete tower scans. We've probably got the most comprehensive database right now of branch on every single moon canvassed with tower, what kind of fit, who it belongs to, what it's mining or what it could be mining. We've got a very comprehensive database put together, and we just paid our pilots, because they're putting the effort and the time into it to doing something that's important.
Roger that. I remember like when I was in 99% Alliance, and this is what Tribal Band evolved into from 99% when they systems to run it, and I joined up because I had nothing better to do. I just got kicked out of another corp. But we need to descan this like the residents over there. Fucking these some no-name motherfuckers. The like if you go in Great Wildlands, you'll find them in EO too. Like the name escapes me. Trigget Nose. Trigget Nose.
Purple Helmet Warriors?
No. These like real gay NRDS dudes, like, and role
Oh,
playing
I
furries.
know the ones you're talking about.
Tell
I too
me the
have
name.
made fun of them at some point in the past.
Like Duck Dodgers and fucking all them people, yeah. Whatever. We're gonna take out all their passes to try to evict them from the area and get them the fuck off and drive them to high sec. And test came down to fuck around a bit too because they dealt with the same dudes way back. Like there was a test deployment of a couple of corps.
Mhm.
Basically, my issue, like, I've made up, like, alright, I need this area scan, this area scan. Hey, Badass Kitty, 500 mil for each region, here you go. He got it done. So in regards to motivating dudes to scout, that's a pretty good motivating tool. So that works for
Absolutely,
you.
yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
dude, do you
absolutely.
know how boring it is to scout? Like, for profit, like, I'll go out and try to like, probe out plexus, and I get bored because, like, there's only so many times you can descan some that you think is going to be an unknown. You find graph site, graph site, graph site. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not a miner. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's a
gay.
thankless job, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's worth so much more to the Alliance. Like now, if we need to find a target, we'll just type it in the database that, hey, look, we're looking for, so and so size tower within so and so reach right now that we can go smack on, and bingo, it'll bring up a bunch of entries on stuff we could do, and it just saves so much time for the FCs and for the rest of the logistics team that it really is an invaluable thing to have.
But the
Good
main thing
scouts.
I feel like, one thing the scout's not thankless for is he's descanning for Rome. Like, remember Ernie from NC Dot?
Oh, good God, that guy is a fucking legend.
Like every op I was on, I hate NC Dot by the way. I only joined them to fucking go for the super fleet as a joke because I trolled so hard to get in there and I made it. Like this is like the biggest scam I ever pulled off that didn't involve ISK. Like I wish it worked out. I'd be a legend right now. I wish it worked out, but shit happens. But
Well, you're a legend in your own way, buddy.
well, anytime like Ernie will always catch somebody, and just like Space will always like it's the praises from the group. Like that's not thankless. He gets all the fucking rep, all the respect.
Oh,
Ernie will
absolutely.
randomly catch them there and be like, "Yo, Ernie did it again. Ernie got him again."
Yeah, but Ernie is he's like proper combat scout as opposed to the dude who thanklessly goes around and scans every pause to find targets, Because that guy will spend good 3 hours of his time to find a target for you, whereas Ernie will be the high profile, in your face, fuck you, super time to die kind of guy.
Yeah, I don't know about the latter part of scouting. I guess I could. I guess I can go around for each region and try to find a super hit in the tower, but like that would be hard.
We've got one of those gurus as well. He's fucking. No one else finds shit to drop on, but carriers and ratting bullshitters will fall into his lap left, right, and center.
Dude, I find you should take a road trip down to Dell for a bit and come kill dudes in Aquarius. Those initiative guys are ratting and carriers and nightmares. They don't give a shit. I got a picture too. Like you know Fnatic?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I fucking ran into him quad boxing, and he had two carriers, a nightmare, and he even didn't fucking move when I was in local. I was in a Cinnaball. He just chilled there. I'm like, knew I couldn't do shit about it. Fuck that guy.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Init come visit us up in Dino from time to time. They bring like this remote repping super tanked bomber gang. It's really fucking weird, and they've died twice to us now.
This shit is fucking dumb. What the fuck?
I don't know. I think it's like a corp roam or something that they're
They
busy
must be
doing.
high. They must be high. All right, so tell me about a recent event which you think shows the best side of your group. Like anything recent, like that just really showcases how you guys work together as a team.
Um, to be honest, most of the like at the end of the day, it's not stuff that will be readily visible. But the fact that we've heavily increased numbers, we've got a lot of lethargy within the alliance being filled with such old corps. We've got a lot of members who have retired. We have a massive super fleet, upwards of 50 supers, but we won't ever see them all log on because a lot of them have stopped playing. So it's kind of one of the things we've always gone forward with is create active content. It's our responsibility to create content. And creating that content, like I mentioned earlier, having upwards of 50 fleets a week, having regular ops posted, every single day. There's always something for our members to do in 3 solid time zone blocks. It creates a lot more enjoyment for our membership, and that creates numbers and people showing up. So while I can't actively say, hey, look, this is what we've done and this is what we've achieved, I can confidently say that we've done a lot for the players that play with us, both the younger and the older, and our guys are having fun and logging back in again. And more than anything, I think that says it all.
I hear you, but like the main thing I was trying to get at is there like one like op or somewhere like
Oh,
okay,
right,
fucking
okay.
like one op where like the whole team like it came together like the fucking A team. Like that's what I was looking for. But that was really well said. So I thank you for that too. But one op to
Let me think. One op.
just showcase how 401k gets down.
Probably when we smashed Verge of Collapse's Loki fleet. Just we decided to put together a training fleet with a couple of our FCs and to teach some of the younger FCs some of the various roles within the Munin fleet. So we had like one overarching main FC with 4 or 5 juniors doing the rest of the jobs, and we went on this roam. We passed through VFK. One of your junior FCs hit us up and he's like, "Yeah, I'm forming guys to have a fight." There was only about 35 of us in our Munin fleet. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to put together a fleet." He couldn't get more than, I think he got 20 or 25, so he decided to stand it down. So we were kind of disheartened by that, and we decided to swing up through Branch after finishing VFK. So we spotted this one system in lawn space that had like 90 guys in space, and it was SBU'd, and we kind of show infoed and we're like, oh, okay, this is like a Verge of Collapse alt corp. So there's something going on here. So initially we just decided to drop on the dudes that were smashing the SBUs. So we have a bunch of Titans staged around in various hidden locations, blah blah. We moved to one that was nearby and dropped in, smashed a few bombers, a couple of battle cruisers here and there, a battleship or two, and we're kind of like, all right, this is cool. What next? And we're just figuring out what to do, and we saw Loki's on D-scan, and we're like, oh shit, Verge of Collapse. I think they want to fight. So we anchored up and we switched to Fusion, which is exploits the explosive hull pretty well, I think, on the Lokis. And sure enough, they showed up. We started blapping them, and they were basically being two-cycled by the Munin fleet. They didn't have enough time to get reps on from their Guardians, and they were losing like upwards of 700 million-esque Lokis. I think a couple were 1 billion-esque. In the end, they just fled. We completely decimated what was there of their gang, and we took like 3 losses all told. uh, at the end of it, I think we got a convo from one of their guys. He's like, fuck you guys for ruining our fun. That wasn't a good fight at all. Who the fuck uses artillery in this day and age? And then they sent out an alliance note recommending Munins as a doctrine.
The fuck? What do you mean? Who uses artillery in this day and age? You nuts,
He's like, yeah,
motherfucker.
you should, artillery's gay. Who are you? You're nothing better than fucking test alliance. I was like,
What?
really, man?
What?
Test alliance are pretty chill. Why would you say that about someone just because they use a slightly different comp? Fuck you for thinking that all you can fly is Proteuses and motherfucking Lokis at close range.
You a dumb nigga.
And then, like,
Seriously
I
dumb.
think a week later, they lost an entire Loki and Proteus fleet in VFK or something.
How are they so rich but yet so fucking stupid? Like, I don't understand this.
Alliance tournament, bro. They won. They won Eve.
Isn't Virgin Collapse a wormhole corp?
Yeah,
Trying to
they're
remember.
that
Oh, I
wormhole
tried to
alliance
join
thing.
them before I joined Goons because I wanted to make wormhole money, and they were like, "Fuck you, Goon."
The good monies.
Fuck you, Goon. I'm like, I'm blacklisted Goons. Then
Yeah.
go figure. Somehow, thanks to Andy, by the way, for getting me back in.
They're a bit of a ginger stepchild with wormholers as well, because they're not really so much focused on wormholes. Like because they made so much cash with the Lens tournament cash and wormhole isk, they branched off into having a lot more supers and shit like that, so they could do stuff in low sec and null. So most wormholers barely see them for standard fights and stuff.
God damn it, faggots! Buy my fucking curse in VFK. It's bullshit.
Midori Sue says hi, by the way.
Tell him I said hi and to kill himself. Just kidding, I miss Midori.
God bless.
Yeah, God bless. In regards to metagaming and shit like that, how do you feel about, well, what's your opinion on having a strong out of game, like coordinating? How do you coordinate to make a group successful? Like, is it forums? Is it Jabber? Like, what would you recommend to anyone listening if they want to be successful in EVE in regards to the metagame?
I mean, I'd go so far as to say we're doing well, but we wouldn't be the benchmark for the perfect alliance. But in my opinion, strong out of game communications are always key. A lot of people harp on about, oh well, we can just log in game and be in touch there, but it's not really the same, because a lot of your guys, even if they're not able to log in, will still be able to speak to you on Jabber. The convo histories and delayed nature of Jabber messaging means you can still jump into a conversation like 30 minutes after it started. So it bypasses a lot of the limitations of in-game. The ability to use external chat programs to alert your members to fleets with pings is also very, very useful. At the end of the day, we run a PvP alliance, and people do log on to PvP. There's no point in keeping them sitting around waiting all day. If nothing's happening, you send out a ping and people will show up and they'll have shit to do. Forums are probably one of the most essential things for an alliance. It really, I mean, the way 401k works, so this is just our example and no one else's possibly. I am the alliance leader, but I am fully accountable to my alliance. I've got 3 close advisors who I'm immediately accountable to, and then the rest of the alliance kind of below them, and the entire alliance is accountable to me. So it is kind of run in a top-down way, but I have plenty of help. What it does mean, though, is if I'm not reachable for various people's opinions, or for people to tell me things, I need to reach them in some way, and forums are great for that. Hold a discussion for a week about something, and everyone feels like they've had their say, even if you don't give a fuck, and make your own mind up about it afterwards. At least everyone's involved in some way, shape, or form in the process, and people really appreciate that. Giving people a feather in that hat is it's a good way to keep them interested.
Pretty good. Pretty good advice there. Suggest you listen to that shit, LI3. I'm just kidding, they have forums. They have
I mean, in
Jabber.
terms of the rest of the metagame, I very actively advocate the metagame to people, because it opens an entirely different avenue of the game, external from the game itself. Most of our diplomats, like young and junior diplomats, will come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, what should we do? We don't have contact lists and stuff like that." And I was like, "It doesn't matter. Go out and make contacts. Introduce yourself to people. Say you're just touching base. Get to know what they're up to, and stick your fingers in as many pies as you can, because you never know when an opportunity will yield itself, and something useful will come from it." Um, and it's an approach I take as well. Try to get to know as many people as possible and listen in, try and gauge what's going on. And this is not even spying. This is just gleaning information, whenever you can, from what people let slip accidentally.
It's positive or negative to for the game for this metagame shit to be going on in regards to game development. I
I
feel
think
it
it's
drives the game a lot,
Yeah, I think it's
specifically
completely
Eve.
parallel, to be honest. It's a parallel thing. It doesn't take away from Eve, nor does it heavily influence Eve, because you can get around it in both ways. But at the same time, it just gives so much more depth to a game like Eve, where the limitations are far fewer than other games. Well, I say limitations, but what I mean is restrictions. The restrictions are far fewer than in other games for you to branch out. So it really gives you a good edge, and it really lets even smaller, slightly more dedicated entities to make a massive difference. Probably one of the best examples is the actual collapse of Band of Brothers. It was all done from within.
And the funny thing that works is the dude got recruitment scammed, but the dude felt bad and he got let in. Then when they were about to kick him out, it's like, yo, wait, not yet. Hook it up. I got director roles in Bob. What's up? That
Stuff.
was fucking priceless. Like, that kind of makes me sad because we're never gonna have a moment like that in Eve for a while. This whole shit that happened with HPC and CFC, that shit's a joke compared to the old days.
Yeah, well, you need good meta, right? And I respect Mitani for doing what he does. He's molded himself into the current bad guy really well. So it's gonna work out, I think. It just needs a bit more traction, I think. If the CFC were more warring, they'd have a lot more success with it. But I guess they've got their own direction on how they want to take things.
How do you feel
But
about
yeah.
CCP and the changes they've been making to the game in general?
I was really fucking disappointed for a while. You know, I feel that capitals are massively, massively undervalued, and this coming from a fairly young player. So I didn't have my own capital assets until fairly recently, but I feel it's a class of ship that's highly undervalued and underplayed. And there's far too much emphasis on letting field of numbers take the advantage in combat as opposed to actual skill. I feel they could do more to address that. I don't personally know how, so I am kind of just whining here without much credible advice to offer. But probably one of the happiest moments I had in regards to CCP was when I found out that Ravi had joined them as he's CCP Fuzzy, right?
I think so. I don't keep track of the names. I know Darius
Yeah.
Johnson is there. Fucking nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I found out that he joined CCP, I was like, thank fuck, they've actually got someone sensible on that dev team now. And he's been doing some great work so far with balancing. And I'm really looking forward to when he does get around to fixing, Titans and Supers, because they're in dire need of attention.
Yeah, seriously. And I kind of hate how carriers, like, when the fuck did. Carriers supposed to use fighters. When the fuck did. Like, I know Sentry Alpha is pretty hilarious on this. On carriers, but
It's
it's
fucking
like.
sick, isn't it?
It's sick, but like it ruins like when I wanted to be a carrier pilot, I was thinking, sweet, I'm gonna have like 10 fighters. This shit's gonna be like fucking World War II. We got fighter planes going everywhere and zonking nerds, and it's gay. It's not.
Yeah.
It's all what I want to imagined. And
It's fighters in themselves, I think, are slightly broken. They need something doing
they
to
need
them.
in my opinion, and this might be a stretch here, but I think they need like multiple type of fighters, just like dudes have multiple guns. You got fighters that are heavily equipped to deal with battleships. You got like fast fighters that go real fast, and they're there to take care of cruisers. I don't know if I'd have them go after frigates. Maybe this
Yeah, yeah.
it would be pretty
Well, I mean,
hilarious.
you can just stock warriors and shit in your cargo hold for those, can't you?
Yeah, Dance Wars. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. I mean, I probably one of the first things I'd like to see is dreads being addressed. Um, dreads are probably the easiest ship to slightly modify to have a massive effect on field battle. So if you're fighting outnumbered, it's common practice nowadays to, if the conditions favor it, to drop a suicide dread because it does give you a good edge in combat. I feel they should push that a little bit more and give the dreadnought the ability to present more on the sub capital field than it does currently. And if they made it cheaper, then it would actually be a viable grind ship to just throw away versus supers and titans as well. Not that it isn't now, but even more so, right?
Best and worst decisions you think these guys made?
Which
Recent,
guys?
recent CCP, and we're talking recent decisions. Best and worst.
Yeah, well, way to clarify recent, because otherwise it's obviously Aurum, isn't it? But recently, probably the worst decision. They've had some drama with the New Eden Open, but in my opinion, they've been doing a lot of things right. I don't like that they've started focusing kind of away from more critical things to play around with the UIs and stuff like that. I mean, the interface is borked and horrible as hell, but I'd really like to see them address stuff like pauses, stuff like industry, stuff like solve mechanics, things that really direly need fixing. So maybe their delay in addressing critical issues would be my main gripe against them, which isn't really a legitimate gripe. The best decision they've probably made recently, I think, is the release of the tier 3 battle cruisers, or are they called tech 3, or sorry, are they called combat battle cruisers now, or attack battle cruisers?
Attack battle cruisers are attack 3. Regular battle cruisers are combat.
That's the difference, right? I don't know what the fuck. Yeah. So did you see the fucking thing they've done with the overview?
Oh yeah, that was retarded, but whatever. It's a
Yeah,
quick fix.
I was like, what the fuck? Someone had to point it out to me. I hadn't noticed it, so that could have ended badly.
I need to go do T3 sniper battleship fleets in high sec and just zonk nerd instead of war deck. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
we should this shit do it like dudes are having a field day with that. I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think it's one of the best things they introduced recently, an entirely new style of battle cruiser, and it's been immensely popular. It's doing so well, and it's being used for so many different things.
Do you have any wild suggestions in regards to improving the game? Like any wilds,
Mm.
just off the top of your head. Hey, this might be cool. This might, whatever.
T2 capitals.
How so?
Well, my envisioning behind Eve is always that, you know, it's in the far future. So I'm going to get slightly RP gay here, so ignore me. It's set in the far future or the far past, whatever approach you want to take with it, and it's a technologically advanced time with these different factions that are constantly fighting each other. And if history teaches us anything, war is the biggest motivator for technological development, and everyone's trying to one up the next big I win button. At the moment it's the atomic bomb, but what happens next? I think it should be similar with Eve in that there should be some kind of growth in regards to the I win buttons. The factions should actively be developing more stuff in the form of CCP releasing slightly bigger things. It would create more content for older players as well. And player retention is a big thing. I like that they're appealing to the younger player as well, but they haven't really looked at addressing the older player in a positive light in some time. So I'd love to see stuff like, T2 dreads, which are specialized dreadnoughts that maybe, I don't know, what could you do with a specialized dreadnought? Covert dreadnought that can lie in wait.
That
And
would
then,
be no. That'd be nuts. It'd have to be like either. I don't even know. Like I can't even
yeah,
help you on this one. Just
well,
T2
maybe,
carriers would make sense. Like T2 carriers, one logistics spec, one
yeah,
combat
exactly.
spec.
maybe something like along the lines of T2 Titans that are very effective on
They
the
need to
ground.
fix regular Titans first, and then they
Yeah,
gotta
well,
fix regular
exactly right.
supers. So sorry. I would love to
Exactly
see
right.
each super cap carrier having more fighters out there. So it may be lacking, maybe be nuts, but I just kind of like a carrier. I think could put out 1,000 DPS with fighters. My Talos can do that. We need to do better. We gotta do better.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
No,
don't know. I don't know how to, but just I like. I can get 1,000 DPS out of Talos. We need to do better on this one.
well, you can drop a Vindicator and get better, and it's about the
Well,
same price
yeah,
tag.
yeah. Like seriously. Well, I don't know about a Vindicator. Vindicator's kind of special, but yeah.
Vindicator's kind of special.
Like I would love to see carriers doing 2K DPS with a full flight or something like
Yeah.
that. Very like disgusting. Or have the
Again, it would need scaling, because if they're doing that, then what counters them better, right? I think it needs to go back a little bit more to the rock paper scissors argument and see encompassing the greater meta as to taking into effect of everything. That I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm getting confused.
That's fine. Is there anything you want to talk about before we finish up? Anything on your mind or stuff you want to put out there?
Not really. I'm fairly new face on Kugu. I registered back in 2011, but never really got around to posting much. I'm enjoying the community. It's good fun. Some very strong opinions on there. In regards to Eve, we're always having fun up north. If you guys want to come shoot at us or shoot alongside us, we're always up for a good laugh.
All right. Lately, what I've been doing is I like to put out like anyone I interview. I like to give them like a little press in regards to recruitment. Like when I interviewed Jeff Rader, I hooked it up with Snigwafa. Is Shiva recruiting, and if they
Yeah,
are, would you like to put out anything about that?
sure. We're always recruiting. Shiva doesn't stop recruiting, but we don't publicize our recruitment much. The simple reason being we let people come to us because they're genuinely interested in us. Our basic requirements are 20 million SP. You have to go through a full API check. You're um, required to go through a trial period and shit like that, and basically just not be a shithead.
Okay, cool. I'm putting my AWOC salt in next week.
GG.
GG. All right. Well. Oh, that was funny. Is Midori Sue still around?
Midori is around. Midori is actually a very helpful component in my administration. He helps organize my FCs.
All right, cool. He's organizing that while he's organizing anime point collection. Well, Zeroniss, thanks for talking on behalf of the Kugusum Forum. I hope we could talk again in the future. Thank you, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been real good talking to you.
Same.
Hi, Mom.